Details were coming in about a passenger plane crash. Indeed, we're getting more in on that now. It seems it's crashed outside Moscow region, which is pretty close to Moscow, Moscow County. Murad Gazdiev's here with me now. Murad, as always with these things, the details are very sketchy to start with. We believe the airline involved here was Saratov Airlines. We believe it's a Russian plane, and An-148, and the flight number, we think, was 6W703 for any friends or family that might be watching and are concerned. This plane took off, I think, from Domodedovo Airport, which is, of course, one of Moscow's three main airports. Yeah,
three big airports, and this was a regional flight, Saratov Airlines, from Domodedovo Airport, Moscow to Orenburg, a city... Orsk, which is a city in the Orenburg Oblast region, just north of Kazakhstan, basically. It's a 2-hour flight. These are done, these are flown every day, multiple times. Nothing out of the ordinary. But we now have reports that witnesses saw, reportedly, this is unverified, but this is what we're seeing from various news sources, witnesses saw a flaming aircraft crash. We've just read this. Rescuers, we've been told by the emergency services, have been dispatched to look for this jet, and again, it disappeared 7 minutes after takeoff from Domodedovo Airport. Just 7 minutes after takeoff, it disappeared from radars. And An-148, Antonov An-148.
So it shouldn't take too long, of course, because it's not too far from the capital. It shouldn't take too long for the rescue efforts to get underway. We'll be finding out over the coming hours, I guess, how many people will be going out there from the emergency services. There's been no word yet about casualties, whether anyone has survived this or not. It's too early days yet.
No, we have absolutely nothing on that yet. There were 65 passengers apparently on the plane, 71 with the crew, so 6 crew members as well. More than that, though, I've got to mention the weather in Moscow. I'm sure you know, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's been awful, atrocious this past week or so. Even
still snowing outside now. So
2 weeks, exactly.
Door,
very poor visibility. Moscow was absolutely buried. The city was paralysed. In recent memory, people...
That shouldn't make a difference. This plane, often there were stories of some of the older Russian planes crashing, the Tupolev 154s, etc. But this plane, Antonov An-148, and reading up about it now, it's not one I'm particularly familiar with. I don't fly these things very often. It's a regional jet airliner. Apparently pretty new in design. It first took to the air around 2004. No, I'm just looking at some of the stats about it now. No particular fatal crashes before. There was an accident apparently during its development. That was back in 2011. But it doesn't look like there's been any fatal accidents with it since. So it seems like it's been a safe plane, as you say. These planes, these regional airliners, Russia's a big country, taken off every day, every few hours, flying people around from Moscow and around this huge country.
Well, exactly. The plane is, by the standards of aircraft, it's relatively new. And with these planes, if you have the proper maintenance, if you have the proper procedures, if everything is followed, the chance of a catastrophe is incredibly small. The chance of a crash, other than something unforeseen going wrong. Again, I'm mentioning the weather here because it is incredible. It is highly abnormal. Visibility has been very poor. There's been huge quantities of snow that have fallen over central Russia. The army was mobilized to clear Moscow of snow so that motorists could at least get to work, and even pedestrians. It's been terrible. But again, we don't have enough information as to what happened. If indeed it was flaming in the sky, if it was on fire while it was in the air, then that is something entirely different. That could be any manner of things.
Could be
catastrophic
failure,
terrorism even.
Yeah. I'm looking at Saratov Airlines here. Again, when people think of Russian airlines, they mainly think of the national flag carrier. Certainly if you're for an Aeroflot, that's got an extremely good safety reputation these days. Runs a very new fleet. They call it one of the newest fleets. Airbuses, Boeings. They don't really run Russian planes anymore, although they do run some of the Sukhoi superjets, don't they? But generally not over to Europe. Looking at Saratov Airlines here, it seems it was formed back in 1931. It's a company that's been going for a long time. In December 2013, it became the first Russian operator of Embraer E-jets. Again, they've got a very good reputation for reliability, but that wasn't the plane we think was involved here now. As of October 2015, Russian aviation authorities sanctioned, apparently, Saratov Airlines after a violation of security rules. Reading in here, the airline was therefore no longer allowed to operate flights to destinations outside of Russia from the 26th of October 2015. That was reinstated May 2016, but obviously there have been in the past, I'm just researching this as I'm speaking, there have been safety concerns about this airline in the past.
Well, there you go. But again, it's early days to talk about reasons or causes. We don't even know how many people, have been hurt in this incident.
There is an update. There's an update. Just really, it's just been actually posted on the wiki page now. It's before even we've got it. It's saying a Saratov Airlines An-148 flying from Domodedovo to Orsk that we think took off around about 2 o'clock this afternoon, crashed near the village of Argunova in Moscow region, Moscow Oblast. Argunova, you're not familiar with that village?
Southeast, I think, southeast of Moscow.
What's the territory like around there? Moscow itself around here is pretty flat, no big mountains or anything. When you're heading that far out, again...
Same thing. Gentle, gentle hills, flat land, swamps, forests.
How difficult would it be for emergency services to get out there? Is it pretty well connected?
No. Moscow and the surrounding Moscow suburbs and surrounding Moscow, 50 kilometers anywhere you go. Great infrastructure, roads, so they'll be able to get to the location relatively quickly. If, of course, the snow, the visibility, if that doesn't hamper them.
OK, so let's go through what we know again at the moment. If you've just joined us, this is RT International. Sad news coming through that we hear in the last hour or so. A passenger plane has crashed. We believe it was an Antonov An-148 that was operated by Saratov Airlines, carrying 65 passengers and 6 crew. We've got a flight number. I'm reading this down here. It's flight number 6W703. We believe it's crashed outside of Moscow city itself in the Moscow county. It was heading to central Russia, and it was run by Saratov Airlines. It was heading to a place called Orsk in central Russia.